What's going on, everybody? Voice a little gone from yelling at practice, and want to give you a little peek at some things in the past. So that video you watched is from Bob Christmas, Coach Bob, head coach Bob Christmas. Um, it was in anyway. It was 1993. Anyway, I went to military school in New Jersey, and the military school didn't have a football team. So they would take us down to Virginia, and would play football down there, just kind of like play with people that knew about the school. So I came across Coach Christmas. I was introduced to him by a captain, and he was like, "Hey, you ever played football?" I had played football little league, so I had already played football in middle school in Houston. Anyway, a long story short, he get me to play football in '93, and we won two state championships back to back. And both times we went undefeated. And he was the first person to really talk to me about football and teach me basically that systems matter more than players, right? So I took what he taught me back to Houston. Now, I wasn't coaching a team or anything like that at the time, but I was still playing ball. But I took the same mindset when I talked to the other coaches, or when the coaches was talking to me actually, and I tried to I deliberately tried to find out what system they was using. So I would always ask things like, "Oh, what concept?" And most of the time, the coaches at back then it was more like, just run the play. I tell you to run, right? There was even though there were concepts, it wasn't explained to us the concepts. It was like you the fastest person on the team, run the ball. You the person to catch on the team, catch the ball, so on and so forth. And it worked for us, so we done it. But because I was taught about the systems, it was easier for me to learn the plays and understand what the coaches were doing when they gave me a play to run. Okay, and then when they would call a next play after maybe like I think maybe like 2 or 3 weeks or so, I can't really remember. I would remember not just the plays, but I was starting to understand. Oh, okay, this is why coach. So this is what his plan is. So we figured out the system. Me and my buddy Jermaine Jackson, we figured out the system without knowing the system because we both had came from the same place back to Houston after military school, and it just made us better players. There was even a time when I had to play quarterback and didn't know anything about playing quarterback, and I was able to fill in that position. I just ran the ball every single time. But anyway, let's. I just wanted to let y'all see that, and with Bob Christmas, and I think he went. We went. Yeah, we won state. We won state, and then we won state again, and we was undefeated. And then I think he left and then came back. Yeah, he left, went to another high school, and that high school went, I believe, I think like 13 and 1. They lost in the championship game, and it was a school that was losing. And he just took the same system, and then he came back to Forest. He came back to Forest, but he came back into Forest. I was already like going into college. He came back to to Forest, and then they won another state championship, with using the same exact systems that he was using previously. And his thing that he always would tell us is, I don't. He didn't care who got on the team. Everybody, he said, working out is important. If you don't work out and you don't practice, you're not playing. You have to earn it every year. So every season. So what he taught me was let the systems build the players. Let the system, and once the systems are in place, then what's important is the player's individual skills. Like you need to make sure wherever you go in the future that you work on the individual skills, your job. Like what is it you have to do and what skills are required to do that. So I just kind of took his mythology and applied it basically in my whole life, applied it to everything. And it worked out pretty well. And then when I first started coaching youth, before I got to Utah, I actually I coached Taekwondo Junior Olympics, and I coached Taekwondo Senior Olympics. I coached Taekwondo Disney Tournament Olympics. Um, I went also and I coached in Korea and I coached in Thailand, and I just applied the same methodology where I just applied it, figured out what system I was going to use, ran everybody through the system, and then make sure I focused on individual skills as we built, and we just continued to build on that, build on that, and build on that, and then basically every team that I coached after Taekwondo and Muay Thai also, I did Muay Thai also, taught that and fought after leaving, not really leaving Taekwondo, after just coaching, going and coaching football because one of my Taekwondo players played football, and I end up coaching um, him and also his team, and we went from wasn't a bad team, but we went from not going to the playoffs and the state champions to playing big time schools. And the first year we just did really good, and then the next year we just blew through everybody. And then when I done that, my cousin wanted me to come and help him out at another school. Went there, applied the same systems, and we basically won every game, and then won the state championship. Did that literally about 3 or 4 times over the course of 15 years. And then once I got to Utah, went to PG, Pleasant Grove, and applied it to the youth program there. And we went, basically, we lost one game in season, and we lost one game in the playoff. And if I had been coaching this this year, I'm 100% sure we would have went to the national championship because we had a lot of the same players just coming back. Either way, what I'm going over right now, what you see in front of you, is inside zone right. I know it says description, just kind of ignore that. Just kind of ignore that. This just for me, right? So basically, what I'm doing right now is I'm giving you a description. I normally play some background music when I'm talking, so kind of helps me out. Hope you guys can hear me. All right. Yeah. All right. So here we go. The turn this down. Just, there we go. My voice. All right. So here we go. I'm gonna do this with a couple plays, but I'm really focusing on this play because it seemed like this play worked for us a lot. But I also want the backs to understand what we're looking for when you're running that inside zone, right? So this is an inside zone, right? The same philosophy um, goes for the left, like nothing changes, right? So we have three things that you do when you do the inside zone. So first, I want to just kind of lay down some simple rules. I didn't write them out, but I want to lay down some simple rules that I got. Got them so just give me just a minute. I'm trying to see if I put it up anywhere for you guys to see. Don't think did. No, excuse me, I did it. Either way, I didn't put it up. Either way, basically, this is how it works. If there's 5 men down on the line, we do not bounce. That's the rule. 5 men on the line, we do not bounce at all. 0. Right? The chances of you getting caught is just extremely high, and we'll end up losing yards. Right? So we don't want people to penetrate. That's a O-line thing, and I think LJ got that locked down. But we can help him in our O-line. We can help them also by flowing with him, right? So flowing with the line, what that means, I'm gonna hit edit right here, go over here. So what does flowing with the line mean? Flowing means that, for an example, let's see if I bring it up there. Yeah. So flowing, for an example, is if we're going this way, we're stretching this way, right? To some degree, we just going in that direction, right? The running back's job is to basically flow that way and stay right here, aim right there at the hip. My coach Bob, probably shouldn't call it Bob. Coach Christmas would always tell us, like, aim at the butt cheek, aim at the butt cheek. So just aim at that butt cheek hard, right? But he also would tell us, like, you have to get a time to play, time to develop. So when you step over, look as you step in, and so you can see the play developing, and then hit it hard, right? So we always try to hit that hip right there, right? And if it's an extra guy, let's just hypothetically, this is not really a play, but let's just say we got some extra guys out here on the side. You do not bounce. It's just way too difficult to bounce unless this guy's going to catch him, which probably not, right? Just simple rule, if it's 5 men down, bouncing is not a good idea unless our line is just a hammer and they're able to just clog everybody up in the middle, right? Normally that don't happen even at the higher level when it's 5 down, right? So we got a 4-3 right now. We got 4 men down, and we have 3 linebackers, right? So let's just work with that for now. Alrighty. All right, so let's start off with bang. Bang is generally the first thing that coaches are hoping that we get a bang, right? So the bang requires grit. What I mean when I say grit, like it just requires like muscle, like I'm willing to go in and take the heat type of idea, and the ability to run over 1 or 2 defenders. So when you slip through, you might have to hit a linebacker, maybe, right? Especially if you can't one cut or jump cut out of his way, right? But you have to be willing to do that when you decide to bang. That's the reason why it's called bang, right? So banging requires grit and the ability to run over 1 to 2 defenders, keep eyes up, and hit the hole with speed. And it literally means that because that hole does not stay open very long. All right, the next, which is the green line. The next one that you see is bend, right? So bend is normally the second choice, right? It doesn't mean it can. Sometimes it's the first choice. It doesn't mean it has to go in this order. It's just the order that I'm presenting it to you, right? So bend. So bend means I'm the running back, and I get the ball right from the quarterback, and I'm coming this way. I see traffic, right? I bend it back and shoot up that way. That's why it's called bend. Because I bend it back and shoot up that way, right? That's not always going to happen, okay? But that's normally the second thing you see is the bend. Because you're shooting up that way, it gets clogged, right? And it's just quick to get out that way, all right? So the next thing, so I'm running through these because I have other ones that I'm going to do with you, And I want you guys to understand. Oh, I can just do this. Yeah, I want you guys to understand that way. So when you're in that position, you can actually perform at a higher level than expected, right? So now what I'm teaching you right now is not a system, right? But it's really a concept, right? And you might say, okay, well, what's that mean, Coach? Basically, what that means is we don't assign you a hole. So the hole is not between the center and the right guard, right? That's just kind of like the aiming point, might be the first choice, right? Depending on the situation. You choose your own hole. We're not locking you down on a hole. We're saying, hey, we trust you to make something happen, so make something happen. Yeah? That's basically what we're doing. We're trusting you to make something happen. All right, so bend. To read the down line. Down lineman. So who's the down lineman? So the down lineman is generally the play side, right? So the way Coach Christmas taught us, now he taught us wishbone, but it's almost the same, right? So he taught us that this area, right, including the that top linebacker, that linebacker that's hanging over, he part of it too, but I won't just put too much emphasis on it right now, but I'm gonna kind of show you what's going on. All right, so as a running back, I'm sitting back here. I need to look. I got a tackle here and a tackle here. So I have a tackle on both sides, here and here, right? That doesn't mean that I don't have anywhere to go. What that means is I might have to read the backside. The backside, let's draw a line. I'll pick a different color so I can stop erasing. We'll just draw a line like this, right? So this is the backside. Right? This is the play side. Must have wrote too much. Oh, I hate when it does that. I hate when it does that. It does that sometimes, sorry. Once it free up some of these words, it fills up the memory. So all right, so backside, what I'm gonna do is erase those. See if it lets me go all the way back. No, it doesn't. Just give me a minute, sorry. Alrighty. Had to start stringing my words together so I can just automatically delete that. Alright, so I put this line in the middle, right? So again, this is going to be play side. Alrighty. So this play side. So the way it works is when you're reading, we'll bend still. It says, so sorry about my writing, just kind of choppy. Read the down lineman, forces outside, contain or over pursue play side. Cut back, wind back, eye wide open, square to see possible hole. Right? I just wrote it real fast, so it's kind of choppy. Either way, what am I saying? Actually, I'm saying read the down lineman. Right? You gotta force him outside, contain or over pursue. So you have to force him to go this way. You want to force him to go that way, right? Because it is a right inside zone to the right? So you want to force him that way, right? That's your job to force him. And you staying on the hip of the center. Now, the point I'm getting at is reading the down lineman. You're going to read this guy, right? And I believe that guy is in a, what, 2? Yeah, I believe he's in a 2. Yeah, he's in a 2, right? 2 tech. So this down lineman is in a 2 tech, right? So if you don't know what that means, it's just a lot to explain. Let's just say he's in the inside shoulder of the right guard, right? So that's the guy you're reading, right? So that guy is, you want this. We need this. We need the center to flow this way, kick him out, right? We need him to push, right? And then we have my guy right here. Now that defensive end is normally on the outside. If it's a defensive end, he normally out like this for the most part, especially at Little League. And so for me personally, it just really depends on how coach have you doing it. So let's say that everybody's keeping that same flow, right? And he going that way, right? On some occasions you hop up here, right? But let's just say the guard is going to fall off and get him, if that makes sense. Yeah, let's just say the guard is going to fall off and get him. So what would that look like? The guard fell off and get it. He would come here, then come there, right? And then this guy right here is here, kicking him out. And my guy here is here, this guy's here, and then he's climbing. Alrighty. All that is kind of irrelevant to what I'm trying to say, but still. So you're reading this guy right here. And you're reading. The way my coach explained it to me is, imagine there's a pyramid. Jeez, why is it doing that to me? No. I don't want this to take too long. There we go. Good. It'll be easier for me to explain it better when I do the singles. So basically what you're going to be doing, you're going to be reading the down lineman. You're going to be reading the down lineman. Open this up like that. There we go. So you're going to read this guy right here. All right. That's the guy you're reading. So if he flows this way, right, and he takes his space, meaning he looks this way, he's peekabooing, you can't do anything about it, right? This guy also peeks this way, right? Once this guy falls this way, the way I was taught is watch this guy, what he's doing, and this guy, and this guy. So the furthest down lineman to the end, the closest down lineman to the end. So this guy now. Does this guy still crash? Right? Is he crashing? If he crashing, right, then this is off. Right? So now that means I need to do what? I need to bend. Why? Because my down lineman that I'm reading here comes here, clogs this up. I can't do anything, right? But I'm still headed in that direction, right? Now I see this guy, that's my second read, coming down, right? Once I see him coming down now, I'm like, okay, if he crashing and he's crashing in the same spot, they got all this blocked up. What is this guy doing? That's the next guy I need to read. This is all happening like lightning fast, so you know it's instinctual, right? Let's say this guy is crashing here. Okay, so now he in trouble. I have to figure out what's the next place to go. The next best place for me to go is just to bend it back, right? Because what happened is I did exactly what my coach asked me to do. I ran and I made them over pursue in this area, so now I can cut back. Now I can shoot back this way real easy. And the reason why I can do that is because they over pursued, right? And they only over pursued because I hit the hip. I hit that hip of the center. It made them over pursue. And now I can bang up through there. Not bang, I'm sorry. Now I can shoot up through, I can bend this way, right? It won't be in a straight line, I guarantee you. Much as we want you to get vertical fast. All right, let's go to the next one. The next one, bounce. Right now, bounce is kind of hard to explain, but hard to explain because you just kind of got to see it unfolding, right? But I'm gonna use this triangle to try to figure out how I can help us visualize this. Alrighty, there we go. All right. That's it. When I want to bounce, all these people right here is clogged this side up, right? I look this way, and all this is clogged up, crashing. So now my best option is to shoot that way with a bounce. Now bounce requires speed. For you to be speeded and explosive movement is required. So the reason why I put that there is because you already coming from the backfield, and you got to make up ground. You got 8 yards back. You got to make up ground. You going towards the hip of that center. Traffic got clogged up. Now the way it should work is you should see and not have to actually turn, right? And you see that's clogging up. Things moving fast. So you bounce up out of there. You gotta put your burners on. Right? I always tell my son to you gotta turn the burners on. You gotta know when to turn the burners on, because you're gonna need them. Right? And at this time right now, this is when you turn the burners on. Right? This is blocked in. I'll take a peekaboo back there, and all I can do is bounce. So whenever I'm running, it's either bang, bend, or bounce. And that's pretty much it for that. I'm gonna save that.